Hi, I'm David Minson with the Mended Collective, and we're continuing our series of discussions about inspiring women of Scripture. In today's study, we're going to talk about Ruth and 4 things that I find inspiring about Ruth. We find her story in an Old Testament book that bears her name, the book of Ruth. I hope you'll be blessed by today's study. The first thing I find inspiring about Ruth is her loyalty. Ruth's mother-in-law was a woman of Israel named Naomi. Naomi's husband had passed away, and Ruth's husband had passed away. So the family bond through marriage that had brought those two ladies together had been broken by death. And Naomi suggested that they part ways. That would have been a normal course of action at that particular era of time. But Ruth declined to depart from Naomi's company. And in so doing, she expressed her loyalty with perhaps the most famous quote from the book of Ruth. She talked to Naomi about, "Wherever you go, I'll go. Your God will be my God. Your people will be my people." In a passionate appeal, she expressed to Naomi her love for her and her loyalty to her. And that kind of personal loyalty is something that I find very inspiring about Ruth. The second thing I find inspiring about Ruth is her willingness to work, and to work with a godly purpose to find favor. Ruth was a young woman, and she was interested in marrying again after the passing of her husband, and she needed to do that. And Naomi was actually helping her and coaching her toward that goal. And as they talked about this, Ruth expressed to Naomi a willingness to go out and work in the fields and glean grain by hand. Very difficult labor for a young lady. But Ruth wasn't afraid to work, and she thought that she could go and work, and by setting that example of being hardworking and industrious, it would capture the attention of the right kind of man and help her to find a godly husband. So her willingness to work there in the course of that story as it unfolds is something that I find very inspiring about Ruth. The third thing I find inspiring about Ruth is her humility. Her plans to work, to find favor, worked. She had success. And Boaz noticed her and noticed her work ethic. But instead of feeling entitled to that attention, instead of being arrogant in her self-perception, she had a humility there in Luke chapter 2. She expressed it in terms of, "Who am I that you should notice me? Why should I find favor in your eyes?" She was very humble as opposed to being arrogant, and I find that very inspiring. The fourth thing I find inspiring about Ruth is that she built a reputation as a virtuous woman. There were a lot of factors at play in this reputation that she had obtained. She made a lot of careful and godly choices, often at the hand of Naomi's advice, to make good decisions that would gradually build her name. And it was observed to her that everybody in the town knew that she was a virtuous woman. What a blessing it was for her to achieve that status that the Scriptures tell us regarding a good name, that it's priceless to have a good name. And that was certainly priceless for Ruth, and it served her well. And I find it inspiring that she worked so hard and so carefully to make godly choices that brought her the reputation of being a virtuous woman. Well, there you have 4 things that I find inspiring about Ruth. I hope that these things are inspiring to you as well. And whether you're a male Christian or a female Christian, I hope you can see there are things in Ruth's example that are very worthy of our notice and our imitation. And I hope you'll tune back often to the Mended Collective as we have more studies about inspiring women of Scripture.